welcome to another episode of Anderson TV. I'm Josiah Summers Anderson. So, today we're going to talk about two things. The first one is diversity, and the other one is unity. Now, I remember doing an episode, I think it was earlier this year, about DEI, saying that DEI means didn't earn it. So, really think about the episode if you have watched it. If not, then I would suggest that you guys should probably look at that episode and see where I stand on diversity, equity, and inclusion, which it does more harm than good. So, but we're just going to talk about one of them, and that is diversity. Now, so diversity is not our strength. Unity is. Well, we're going to explain why unity is better than diversity in this episode. We'll be right back. So I looked up some interesting parts of this article that I have from the Heritage Foundation. And in case you guys haven't noticed, well, this year the Heritage Foundation, of course, they've been in a lot of hot water, especially with their CEO. So I'm only going to take away from interesting parts of this article. Let's see. So they say a nation of groups is thus an oxymoron. In the best of times, it will be a festering federation. In the worst, it will dissolve into warring tribes. So the other part, toward the end of the 1952 Hollywood classic Ivanhoe, King Richard the Lionheart asked those assembled before him to kneel as Saxons, Normans, Danes, and Jews, and then commands them to rise as Englishmen. Nobody had to explain why. Today we have set up a system in which we seemingly ask Americans to kneel, then rise as members of groups. This baleful system dates in the 1970s. So new racial groups were created: Hispanics, Asian Americans, African Americans, transgender, LGBTQ, and stuff of that matter. So instead of just calling yourself an American, we have to identify by our gender. We have to identify as our race, among other things that don't really matter. Then these groups were kept apart by pursuing a diversity policy in the schools that deters assimilation. Finally, you instill actual grievances into the members of some groups by teaching them that members of others are oppressing them. Let's see, there's another one, another part of this. Let's see, more importantly, it was an idea that President Abraham Lincoln expounded upon in his July 10th, 1858 speech in Chicago. One of his most memorable and known, in fact, as the Electric Cord speech. I've always believed that Lincoln was purposefully channeling St. Paul in Galatians when the apostle wrote that after Christ, one no longer had to be Jewish to be a descendant of Abraham. So, Galatians chapter 3, verse 29, and if ye be Christ, then are ye Abraham's seed, and heirs according to the promise. So, similarly, Lincoln noted that many people were no longer directly descended from men who fought in the Revolution, immigration having been so heavy in mid-century. Here's what he said. They are men who have come from Europe, German, Irish, French, and Scandinavian, men that have come from Europe themselves, or whose ancestors have come hither and settled here, finding themselves are equals in all things. If they look back through this history to trace their connection with those days by blood, they find they have none. They cannot carry themselves back into the glorious epoch and make themselves feel that they were a part of us. But when they look through that old Declaration of Independence, they find that those old men say that we hold these truths to be self evident that all men are created equal. And then they feel that moral sentiment taught in that day evidences their relation to those men, and they have a right to claim it as if they were blood of the blood and flesh of the flesh of the men who wrote that declaration. Strong words. So try telling that to people who think that, oh, diversity is our strength. Well, no, it isn't. You know, our motto in the United States in Latin, e pluribus unum, out of many, one. So basically, I can say that out of many groups here in the United States, there's only one group, that we are Americans. So, anyways, I wonder why that we cannot have more American culture or anything of that matter. And instead, well, I appreciate all the other cultures, but someday that the cultures that are overlapping each other, they're probably going to overlap the American culture as well, which is not good. So, anyways, there is good and bad in pretty much every culture. So, we like to call out the bad in one culture, but we never call out the bad in your own culture. So, this is why that I created an episode about black fatigue. So, I say that, okay, there is some good in black culture. I appreciate that. But there has to be some changes. Because this isn't it. I mean, all the rap music, all the songs about violence and sex and stuff of that matter, it has got to stop. It all started with this hip hop nonsense, and it's gone to the rap nonsense today. So, why should that be part of our culture today? I mean, yeah, I don't listen to that. So, and it is the music. It is something in the music. It is something that in the culture that is probably encouraging violence. I mean, I'm not just talking racially. I mean, I'm talking across the board, religious as well. So, and yeah, we have religious extremism as well. That yeah, we obviously have to do something about. So, but I would much rather celebrate American culture like the 4th of July, Thanksgiving, um, Labor Day. I would like to be part of those American holidays. So, in my opinion, of course, after finding out what Martin Luther King Jr. have done by reading the FBI files about him, I'm not celebrating his holiday anymore. There's no way I'm doing that. And until Black History Month, they recognize black conservatives like Ben Carson, Herman Cain, Clarence Thomas, Dr. Carol M. Swain, Vince Everett Ellison. Until Black History Month, we recognize black conservatives. Black History Month has turned into a political um, type of occasion. So it's why that I prefer not to celebrate anymore because it's a joke. So no, I don't want to celebrate that. So And oh yeah, there's different state cultures as well. Louisiana, for example, we have um, yeah, it's an American state, but it started out as a French state. So you have people that speak English here in Louisiana, French Creole. Um, you have all kinds of cultures here in Louisiana as well, and I appreciate that. Of course, I would like to check them out, but I would definitely like to experience like American heritage. So, anyways, I want to. There's a genuine question that I have. Why is the colonial period of America considered as like racist, and that people would much rather not learn about it, but they much rather learn about the civil rights movement. They much rather learn about Black Lives Matter. They much rather learn about all of these Marxist movements, but not about the time that this nation has gotten started. They want to acknowledge slavery, even though that was something that happened like 400 years ago. And that ended almost like 200 years ago here in the United States, but is going on to this day in mostly in Africa. Oh, so, but they don't want to talk about that. Every race, every civilization on earth has been enslaved. I don't think anyone is immune to being slaves during the time of man because it's man. I mean, they have no heart whatsoever. So it is so yeah, slavery is a moral evil, but also because of that, we have a victimhood mindset where that oh because of slavery I get to do whatever I want to now because their ancestors messed my ancestors up, so I get to do whatever I want. And I don't care what the descendants of those ancestors say. Well, you go ahead and rob that grocery store, your butt will be in jail before you know it. Which, so it is the victimhood that is hilarious but pitiful to hear and see at the same time. So I wasn't born during slavery times. I was born in 2006, not 1706 or 1606. Thank you very much. So, but why are we still talking about something that happened 400 years ago? And that obviously the descendants of the slave owners have nothing to do with. It's collective punishment. It's collective punishment, it's revenge, it's all kinds of stuff within that. It is victimhood. So so anyways, yeah, I'm getting off track here. So um but yeah, I love to discuss the um colonial America. I love that period. And I would love to learn more about it, learn more about the first Thanksgiving and stuff of that matter. So, but people will most likely acknowledge the negative parts of our history, which is why they would take down statues, of Andrew Jackson and would rather put up a statue of George Floyd, who haven't really done pretty much of anything that Andrew Jackson did. I mean, Andrew Jackson, he literally eliminated the national debt. But no one wants to talk about that, much rather how we own slaves or something like that. Well, can we talk about the people of color who did own slaves, not here in America, but in other countries? And it was actually white people who abolished slavery. In Great Britain, I think it was the first country that did that. In the late 1700s to early 1800s, they were the first country to abolish slavery. Then it got up to the United States in about the 1860s. So, anyways, because of apparently America's diverse country, that they want to say, oh, but we're on stolen land. Nobody's illegal. What kind of mess is that? I mean, what happens if an American comes illegally to the country that you just came out of? Would have been deported. But why can't America have the same rules as well, forcing immigration on our borders? Serious question. So nobody's legal on stolen land? Well, it's not stolen land. I mean, yeah, there was a fight for it, and the Native Americans lost. In fact, the Native Americans, they're not really as native as you were told. I mean, sure, we have different tribes, but you had different tribes taking over the same amount of land, the same land, same land, same land. So, if we were to give it back to Native Americans, which tribe? And then that tribe will fight over that tribe's land. That's all that was happening back then. So, anyways, I don't. So, yeah, I'm black. I don't really care. What does my race have to do with me being an American? Why can't I be proud to be an American? Wear an American flag lapel. It's on the water bottle that I drink every day, not this one. This has LSUS on it. There's another one. There's another one, a camouflage one, that I will always bring with me. My classes. So it has American flag on it. I have two American flags in my apartment, in my room. One outside my door and one inside my room on the wall. I love the United States of America, no matter what. Because I know that if I were born in any other country, I would not have the same opportunities as I do today here in the United States. So, yeah. I'm proud to be a citizen. And I say, e pluribus unum, out of many, one. Out of many groups here in America. So, whether you're white, black, or in between, straight, gay, Christian, atheist, whatever you are an American. If you were born here and you pledge your loyalty to the United States, then you are a citizen. But if you were born here and you do not pledge your loyalty to the United States, then you're not a citizen. So, all this birthright citizenship talk, it has got to stop. Because just because you're born here in the United States doesn't mean that you're a citizen. It doesn't mean that at all. So we'll be right back. All right, everyone. So that is it for this week's episode of Iverson TV. So I'm recording this on Monday, November 10th. So my apologies for having breaks and drinking water and coughing. Of course, I don't know what I'm coming down with. So it's that time of year again. So, anyways, there won't be any more episodes right after this one, which should be released on Saturday. So, but I will let you know if there are any more episodes coming up for season 41, which will come in December. And I'm still waiting on to do some interviews with some people. I mean, since the interview with Samuel Hampton, I was thinking, why not do I do more interviews? And I can make the choice of having them in person here at the LSUS Noel Memorial Library podcasting room or virtually via Zoom. So, yeah, that is the plan. And I think earlier this year I had a plan to create the Inerson TV merch store. So I realized that some of the prices there they're quite expensive. So I'm going to try to find something that is affordable, more affordable. I mean, even for me, to make it more affordable. So, anyways, that is the plan. And stick around for the Inerson TV Town Hall. I might have already done it by the time I did this episode, doing the by the time this episode is released, or I might have not done it. Please stick around for that. So, that is it for this week's episode. My name is Josiah Anderson, signing off. Goodbye, everyone, and have a nice rest of your week.